appearance in the MotoGP class, the youngest ever pole setter in the Premier class of Grand Prix racing. If he won, he would be the youngest ever rider to win a Premier class race. It's a big ask in only his second appearance, but despite a crash on Friday morning, he has looked in superb form. Third in Qatar, of course, his Grand Prix MotoGP debut behind Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo. Very calm, very assured, a friendly 20-year-old surely is on the verge of, well, Grand Prix stardom. He's already a 125 and Moto2 world champion, but in MotoGP. The new Valentino Rossi. And alongside him is his teammate Dani Pedrosa, disappointed with his fourth place in Qatar, desperate to beat his teammate and has looked in very good form throughout the weekend, getting faster the whole time. Fastest in the morning warm-up. 3 wins in the USA, 1 at Laguna Seca, 2 at Indianapolis, and it's his 14th successive front row start for Dani Pedrosa. Don't rule him out. Completing the front row for the 21-lap race. It's Dani Pedrosa's great rival, current world champion, the race winner in Qatar, absolutely superb style, Jorge Lorenzo. We're taking their seats. Lorenzo now arriving on the grid. It's they've struggled this weekend, but Yamaha haven't found life easy at this circuit, and I think he knows that it's going to be a tough old race. A couple of wins in America, Indianapolis and Laguna. He's finished first till second every race he's finished in the last 18. This may be different. This may be with the 2 Hondas in front of him the time that he'll have to step for 3rd place. Stefan Bradl, 4th successive 5th place, qualifying for the German. In the middle of that second row of the grid. He crashed out in the race in Qatar. So we want to get some points to start off his campaign. Andrea Dovizioso on the Ducati. Good solid 7th place for him in Qatar. He is qualified on the 3rd row of the grid. I do him a disservice. 2nd row of the grid, sorry, in 6th place for Andrea Dovizioso. Because he qualified well also in Qatar. But as the race wore on, did have his problems as the tyres started to fade.
Nick, I'm just down here with Bradley Smith. Bradley, you seem to have been getting better all weekend. What's the aim for the race today?
I mean, the aim is to get to the finish, learn as much as I can. I've had a difficult weekend, but we've made gradual progression all the way through, so I expect to make another improvement again in the race and keep on moving forward. It's a long 21 laps here, so I'll come strong towards the end.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, Bradley Smith is qualified 11th fastest. He had to go through qualifying 1. He got through that into 2, 11th fastest. Of course, crashed out on his MotoGP debut in Qatar, so see the checkered flag is very important for him. We came onto that 3rd row of the grid, 7th fastest, Alvaro Bautista, 6th in the race in Qatar, of course on the Gresini Honda, finished in the top 6 in the last 9 races. That is impressive, and alongside him, Valentino Rossi. Not the best qualifying for Valentino Rossi, but of course, second, the much publicised 2nd place for Valentino Rossi in Qatar, an Indianapolis and Laguna winner. And this is the 35th circuit he has ridden on in a Grand Prix race. So there's your quiz question. You've got time. The 35 circuits Valentino Rossi has ridden on in his Grand Prix career. And alongside him on that 3rd row of the grid, another tremendous performance by Aleix Espargaro. top CRT bike in Qatar when he was 11th, top CRT bike last year, and he's right up there once again. He is qualified on the 3rd row of the grid in 9th place. So that's your top 3 rows of the grid. Spoke to Bradley Smith, who's qualified 11th fastest on the 4th row. He's sandwiched between 2 experienced men and Grand Prix winners, Nicky Hayden on the Ducati, who's 10th fastest, and Ben Spies on the Pramac Ducati, 12th fastest, who finished 10th in Qatar. There's Nicky Hayden. Of course, 2 wins at Laguna when we returned there. The last American to win MotoGP World Championship. 8th in Qatar, and now can he push on along with Andrea Dovizioso against the might of Honda and Yamaha. Bradley Smith, spoke to him, crashed out in Qatar, so disappointed after going well in qualifying. It's got better as the weekend has gone on here. It's been hard for him to learn the new circuit. It's just his 2nd MotoGP race on that Tech 3 Yamaha. He did well to get through qualifying 1, and now the checkered flag is his aim.
Please turn your attention to the podium or video screens as the color guard of the University of Texas presents the flags of the great state of Texas and the United States of America. And now, please join us in observing a moment of silence for the victims of this week's tragedies in both Boston, Massachusetts, and West Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats to sing our national anthem, Austin's own Jaylyn Lucas.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Yeah, it's been a hard week for everybody in America, and our heartfelt sympathies to everybody who lost people in Boston and in Western Texas. And let's put on an extra special MotoGP race for the people of Texas. 21 laps, it's round 2 of the MotoGP World Championship. Andrea Iannone, just his second MotoGP race, of course, coming up from the Moto2 class, is qualified in 13th place on that Pramac Ducati. Alongside him on that 5th row of the grid, it's going to be the Frenchman Randy Depunet, his 15th season Grand Prix racing. Only Valentino Rossi has competed in more Grand Prix races than Randy Depunet. Big crash on Friday for Randy. I'm happy to say he was okay, as you can see. And he'll want to get up with his teammate in the CRT category. Of course, that's Aleix Espargaro, but he starts from the 5th row of the grid. 14 fastest for Randy Depunet, and completing that 5th row, Hector Barbera. Never quite sure what you're going to get from Hector, but you know you will get 100% of big effort from Hector Barbera. So that's the grid. Unfortunately, Karel Abraham, following a crash with Brian Starring in qualifying yesterday, broke his right collarbone, 7 screws inserted, so he is obviously out of the race. Just have a look at the tyre choice. Front tyres, medium compound for everybody, apart from Bradley Smith, who has gone for a soft compound front slick. Rear tyres, Stefan Bradl we thought may be a little bit different, yes, and certainly, well, Marc Marquez and Stefan Bradl, both of course on the Hondas, have gone for a harder compound.
Well,
Gillian, what do you think about that?
Well, track temperature, surprisingly, is actually as hot as yesterday. It's about 44, 45 degrees, Bridgestone have just told me, which is surprising. But when the sun does come out through the clouds here, it is very hot. It's actually hotter than yesterday. So, you know, the conditions are pretty much the same as in free practice 4, which I'm sure the riders will be very pleased with.
That's going to be very interesting indeed. Michael Lafferty, didn't he have a good ride on his MotoGP debut in Qatar? And just his 2nd race in this category, riding for Paul Bird Motorsport. He's done well. He's qualified on that 6th row of the grid in 17th place. Johnny Hernandez, his teammate, was 16th fastest, had a few problems, but again done well to qualify the 6th row. And then the local boy, Colin Edwards, 14 MotoGP races this will be for him in the United States of America, but he never thought, perhaps back in those World Superbike days and when he came into MotoGP, he would be riding a race at his home, in his home state. His teammate Claudio Corti, he heads up the 7th row of the grid, 19th fastest for the former Moto2 rider. The middle of that 7th row, Danilo Petrucci, his 2nd season in the MotoGP World Championship for the Italian, and completing the 7th row of the grid, Hiroshi Oyama, back in MotoGP, and of course, Hiro, the former 250cc World Champion. Come on to the back row of the grid. No, we now come on to the front row of the grid. Yeah, golly, they wouldn't be very pleased, would they? Jorge Lorenzo, Dani Pedrosa, and the history book writer, Marc Marquez. Can he go a step further and win here in Texas? So, welcome back to Texas. I'm Nick Harris, sitting alongside me, Gavin Emmett, down in pit lane, Dylan Gray. 21 laps of the circuit of the Americas.
And Marc Marquez starts from his first ever pole position in the Premier class. Alongside him, his experienced compatriots, Dani Pedrosa and Jorge Lorenzo. Crutchlow heads up row 2 with Stefan Bradl and Andrea Dovizioso alongside.
Entering 3rd row of the grid, Alvaro Bautista, Valentino Rossi, and leading that CRT charge, Aleix Espargaro, row 4, Nicky Hayden, Bradley Smith, and Ben Spies.
Yep, he's the 2nd Texan, of course, out there. Spies with his teammate Iannone behind, Depunet Barbera alongside. Then it's Hernandez, Michael Laverty, a great performance by those two. Colin Edwards heads up, he's at the back of row 6, should I say. A few gearbox problems for him this weekend. And it's Claudio Corti, his teammate, ahead of Petrucci and Oyama. Then it's Brian Starring, Lucas Peszek and Blake Young. No Karel Abraham, he is out with a broken collarbone. 7 screws and a plate inserted last night, his right collarbone. And we'll have to keep our eyes on the recovery period for Karel to be back in the race. No Mike Barnes either, who was down on the entry list. He was unable to qualify on board his GP Tech bike.
Marquez leads the line. beating the record of Freddie Spencer. 1982, Freddie Spencer was the youngest ever pole setter in the Premier class. 1982 at Jarama in Spain. Freddie Spencer, the youngest ever rider to win a MotoGP race. Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, 1982.
Yeah, can Marquez write another bit of history here today? Just interesting on the tyres, before we go down to Dylan quickly, both Bradl and Pedrosa have gone with that rear slick hard compound. All the rest have gone for medium in terms of the prototype bikes. For the CRT machines, they've all gone with the softer option, but that's their harder option on CRT. In the front tyres, Bradley Smith has gone with a soft front compound like a couple of the CRT bikes. Ben Speed's made a late change from the soft front, we're on board with him now, to a medium front tyre. Just a quick final word, Dylan, on the conditions. Sun on the main straight, but it looks like cloud out there at turn 11.
Well, it is actually quite sunny. We do see clouds, but it really has warmed up quite a lot here. And track temperature, 44 to 45 degrees, so very much the same as in free practice 4 yesterday, which riders will obviously now be basing their tyre choice on.
Bradl was very confident after that practice that he'd put in a lot of laps on that hard tyre. You could look down through the analysis of the lap times yesterday. Really good attendance, by the way, just to pipe in there. 61,000 fans having turned up. It's a good debut for this track. But just as I was saying, just quickly, Bradl confident that he can maybe even challenge for Jorge Lorenzo for a spot on the podium there. I say Lorenzo, Nick, because the Hondas have looked supreme at this track.
Yeah, they certainly have. They were when they came for the test here just over a month ago, and they've looked very good here indeed with Marc Marquez and Danny Pedrosa. And I was saying at the start, interesting that Lorenzo's finished first or second in every race he's finished in the last 18. This is the one he may have to settle for third place on the podium.
We've said that before, though, over those races.
Just.
Of course, he did crash out in Valencia, the last race of last year. He was taken out at Aston. He is the championship leader by 5 points from Valentino Rossi. Rossi has hopefully found something in warm-up, or he'll hope to have anyway. The others will hope he hasn't, as Marc Marquez, who is third in the championship, looks to set the history books at a new course.
Perfect conditions, big crowd. The second round of the MotoGP World Championship for the very first time here at Austin in Texas. And Marc Marquez has already rewritten the history books yesterday. Can he write another chapter this afternoon in the 21-lap race? Alongside him on that front row of the grid, Danny Pedrosa and Jorge Lorenzo. Good afternoon from Texas. Welcome to the second round the MotoGP World Championship.
Oh, not a great start from Jorge Lorenzo on the inside there. He was very keen to pull the bike across, and he's going to lose position to Bradl and Cal Crutchlow, and maybe even his teammate Valentino Rossi. I think he might have squeezed in front of Crutchlow here, but at the front it's going to be Danny Pedrosa seemingly to have come through, and Bradl is now up into second place. What a start from the German from the second row of the grid.
Yeah, Marquez ran it very, very wide, didn't he? Pedrosa took full advantage, and full marks to Bradl. He was able to do that as well.
On board now with Jorge Lorenzo as he tracks Marc Marquez. Well, this is exactly what we needed, because we know Marquez has a decimating pace for the rest, and Pedrosa as well will be thinking, right, I've got a good chance here now. I've hit the front early on through turn 9, over the crest for the first time, very fast at fourth gear corner 10 and down to turn 11, which will bring them onto the back straights.
Through turn 11 they come onto this very, very long back straight, 1,200 metres long, well over 210 miles an hour. Pedrosa leads Bradl. Marquez is a little bit of a gap now to Lorenzo.
And then you can see Cal Crutchlow being trailed by Valentino Rossi, who's already made a couple of spots up. Marc Marquez now into second place. The power he showed coming out of turn 11. You have to get it right. You have to hit the drive to take the pace onto that back straight, and he was better than Bradl.
It's the worst fears now for Jorge Lorenzo, isn't it? Because he's got Bradl between him and the two factory Hondas. So I would imagine Lorenzo would try and make a move on the German as quick as he can.
How quickly will Bradl's tyre start to come in and start to give him that edge? He felt he could challenge Lorenzo today. He says he can run that hard tyre to the end of the race. The soft, he had braining problems with later on, and that might cause issue for some of the other riders. Not so far for Jorge Lorenzo. He's pushing hard and goes through on Bradl at turn 19. But Bradl wants to fight back quickly, doesn't want to give up. But he's having to hang on to fourth. Lorenzo, though, goes very wide. He had a big moment there earlier on this weekend. And will Bradl have a chance of getting back in front? Lorenzo's having to fight extremely hard here.
Two Hondas lead the way to turn one. Here comes Bradl once again. It's Lorenzo just about Bradl. Valentino Rossi tucked in behind Cal Crutchlow. But the two Hondas are enjoying this at the front because it's slowed up the progress of the others.
We saw a leg about to be thrown out by Valentino Rossi. I wonder if he was going to make a move. So Bradl had to just back off from that one as he was embroiled in a scrap with the world champion and championship leader. Now it's about the battle between the two Repsol Hondas. We've said many times this season there could well be an all-Spanish podium. Now it lines up as Pedrosa, Marquez, Lorenzo. Marquez the favourites before this race, but Pedrosa should never be counted out.
Down towards turn 11 they come. Pedrosa, Marquez, Lorenzo up the inside.
This is
comes
Bautista.
Alvaro Bautista on Valentino Rossi, who's going to get the best drive out. Well, he just edged him wide, didn't he, under the rumble strip there, Alvaro Bautista, Valentino Rossi. Fast straight, and then they have to jam it down through the gearbox. On the brakes, Marquez has his first look up the inside of Pedrosa. No way through at the moment for the youngster.
Long way back. Remember, Danny Pedrosa has gone with the hard option rear tyre. So if he can stay in front towards the latter stages of the race, will that give him an advantage? Will Marc Marquez have tyre problems in the latter stages of this race? It's all to come over the next 19 and a half laps.
We ride with Danny Pedrosa, that's Marc Marquez in behind him, and the world champion Jorge Lorenzo just got a glimpse of him. It's the three from the front row, not quite in that order though, but Pedrosa we knew was going to make a good start. Marquez tried to ride round the outside, not able to do so. Bradl coming under pressure from Cal Crutchlow. So very, very capable now running in this sort of company. Bautista has got past Valentino Rossi, we saw that at turn 11, and tucked in behind them is Andrea Dovizioso.
Crutchlow's going well in these early stages, tracking Bradl. Could well be, as you said, that hard tyre will take time to come in. Bradl takes a tighter line than Crutchlow into turn 1 and hangs on to fourth place ahead of him. Let's take a run down through the orders. We look at the fastest lap from Jorge Lorenzo, 2:04.486. So we know the three Spaniards lead. It's Bradl in fourth, Crutchlow fifth. It's now Bautista in sixth, Rossi in seventh. He's ahead of Dovizioso, who's just dropping back a touch from Valentino Rossi. Iannone is in ninth, good start for him. Nicky Hayden 10th. Aleix Espargaro in 11th, then it's Ben Spies 12th, Yoni Hernandez 13th, ahead of the last prototype of Bradley Smith. Danilo Petrucci makes up the points in 15th place.
Back at the front, still leads away from Pedrosa, but Jorge Lorenzo is certainly not letting these two Hondas get away at the front. We ride with Marc Marquez. That is Pedrosa just in front of him as they come through 11 now onto this back straight.
That lap time from Lorenzo, 2:04.4, he's only 3/10 behind the lap he qualified at. And in practice yesterday, free practice, Lorenzo, the final free practice where we said the temperature's similar, his best lap was a 2:04.6, well, already he's beyond that. It will be very hard for him to stick on the back of the two Repsol Hondas now.
Cal Crutchlow desperate to get past Stefan Bradl, that won't be easy. Behind him is Valentino Rossi. You're right, that was a really good start by Andrea Iannone, wasn't it, on that Pramac Ducati?
Yeah, he
There
started
he is.
down in 13th place.
Yeah, he's coming under a fair bit of pressure now from Nicky Hayden in 10th place.
Still Pedrosa leads. Well, actually, that's the softer option tyre he's got in there, so we've been given some duff information. Actually, it's Marquez who's on the hard tyre. It's me reading it wrong all the way through.
I was worried about that because I'd said Marquez.
Oh, well, no,
earlier on.
that's me. It's me reading it.
Don't worry.
Absolutely.
I'm worried. I wonder if that's a good... They obviously know better if it's a good decision. I thought it was a... Well, we wait and see what the decision is. Pedrosa leads the way. 18 laps to go from Marc Marquez. Lorenzo hanging in there, as he will, all the time.
Oh, but he's gone
very
very deep in there, just trying to stay in touch. And this could be the point where he says, right, get into a rhythm, keep churning it out, don't want to be losing more time, and then be under pressure from Bradl and Crutchlow.
interesting what you said. I think it was in the morning warm-up with Cal Crutchlow. He can run with these guys all day long now. It's getting past them that is so difficult. And he's going to have to make a move soon, I think, on Stefan Bradl.
He's got to. He's going to be stronger at this part of the race, you would have thought. Marc Marquez is now starting to come into it. His tyres will be getting there, and he will be feeling, right, I can do this. He set, during fourth free practice, he went out on that harder tyre, and it almost created a headache for him because it worked very well indeed. And he set lots of low 204s. He's just set the fastest lap of the race on the previous one, and he's only going to get quicker. Can Pedrosa keep that soft tyre working till the end of the race?
Rear tyres hopping off the ground as they break down from 6th gear to first gear. Or second in some instances, we saw when we were watching this morning, certainly with Jorge Lorenzo into turn 12.
Cal Crutchlow's had a moment, and he's run it wide, and he brings it back in front of Valentino Rossi. Was he trying to pass Bradl at turn 12? I suspect so.
Yeah, a moment for Crutchlow. He was trying all he could to get past everyone. I think they're probably saying, oh, absolutely.
Does well to come back on and only lose one place.
That's turn 12, isn't it? I think at the end of the...
Yeah, and then in turn 13 he regains it,
Bradley Smith making a bit of gradual progress now, up into 13th place.
And already Crutchlow's back on the rear of Alvaro Bautista. But all the work to do again.
Must be so frustrating as they come onto the start and finish straight. There is Bautista, Crutchlow behind him, Valentino Rossi, as he came very late in the race in Qatar. Can he do that again? I think to catch the Hondas at the front will be difficult. And behind Valentino Rossi, Andrea Dovizioso, who of course would love nothing more than to get past the man he replaced in the Ducati team. But well done, Stefan Bradl. He held firm under the attack, didn't he, of Cal Crutchlow. Could be a bit of a lonely ride, I think, for Jorge Lorenzo, but he's very good at lonely rides, isn't he?
He did it last time out in Qatar.
Yeah,
but
that was at the front.
But
I think he felt that it might be this situation. Teammates they may be, but I can tell you, Marc Marquez desperate to rewrite the history books. I think even more desperate, Danny Pedrosa. Time to stop the rise of this young man, and certainly within the team, time I beat him. There's Bradl, Crutchlow, here comes Valentino Rossi up the inside of Alvaro Bautista and makes it stick at turn 1.
So both Crutchlow and Rossi get through on Alvaro Bautista quickly. And already set about Stefan Bradl. Their pace looks superior to those two Hondas at the moment.
Does Bautista get back? Rossi does immediately, doesn't he? And Dovizioso prepares to pounce behind him.
He's going to have to run it a bit wide though, Dovizioso. Saw that Rossi was there. If he'd have been on the inside, he'd have held that bike in and tried to take Rossi, but he was on the outside and forced to sit up. This is where Crutchlow got through. Nice move. It's where the Yamaha you'd expect to be strong. Actually, interesting, Lorenzo was saying he was actually having trouble with the front a little bit in there.
Back at the front, it's the two factory Hondas, of Danny Pedrosa and Marc Marquez. Marquez just having it sitting there at the moment. I don't know how patient that he was saying. Patience, I don't think, is his greatest virtue. But we thought this is how it may be. Certainly after the test they had here, certainly after practicing qualifying, and that's exactly how it's turned out. But it's Pedrosa leading the way from Marquez.
Here comes Rossi once more on Alvaro Bautista. And he gets through this time at turn 1. So up into 6th place for Valentino Rossi, having started in 8th and having looked a little bit laboured throughout the weekend. Just couldn't quite get it working at this track. They did come here for a test, of course. Only brought one bike and only for a couple of days, but that was more than most of the rest had.
Yeah, it certainly was. So they have had no practice here at all. Apart from those Honda men at the front, they had 3 days of testing and 2 bikes here.
So Cal Crutchlow said before the weekend, anywhere higher than 6th was a bonus, really, and currently he's in 5th place. It was those 5, Pedrosa, Marquez, Lorenzo, Bradl and Rossi, who tested here.
There's just confirmation of the tyre choice.
Confirmation of the tyre choice I messed up earlier on. Danny Pedrosa on the softer option, that's the medium tyre, and Marc Marquez on the hard. But they're both race tyres. Don't forget that. They're both made to last the entire race.
Of course they are. Well, Pedrosa is such a brilliant end to last season. He was disappointed with that 4th place in Qatar. Marc Marquez was winning the Moto2 World Championship at that time. But he was 4th in Qatar. Marquez obviously was in 3rd place. Lorenzo just dominated the proceedings. Bradl, Crutchlow getting gradually pulling back on Bradl. He's going to have another go, isn't he?
He's clearly quicker, but the thing is, he's getting past. That's the gauntlet that Hervé Poncharal has laid down to Cal Crutchlow. It's find something, create a move. Okay, this time it's not on a Honda of Repsol colours, but just got to find your way past, conjure something up. Nicky Hayden has got through on Andrea Iannone and into 9th place. So Dovizioso 8th, Hayden 9th.
Yes, Aleix Espargaro, as you would expect, leading that CRT charge, and he's still in front of Ben Spies and Bradley Smith.
Yeah, but they are 2.9 seconds behind and losing time on him.
Good ride again by Yoni Hernandez. He's looked good this weekend, hasn't he?
He has looked very good on board that ART bike for the PBM squad. His teammate Michael Laverty had a great qualifying and started unfortunately quite badly, and he's down in 23rd position. He's actually just got up to 22nd, just got past Brian Starring.
Yeah, again, confirmation of the tyre choice. It's not a surprise that Stefan Bradl, I think, always felt that he wanted to do it. It's just how the weather conditions were, and he's using that harder compound rear tyre for the German.
Crutchlow has closed another 3/10 on Bradl. Still at the front, Danny Pedrosa leading the way from his teammates, his upstart rookie colleague, Marc Marquez.
Like a little annoying terrier, isn't he, to him? Just won't leave him alone, look. But Pedrosa's very, very used to riding quick races at the front. Very capable of doing that.
Almost identical lap times over the last 3. Yes, Marquez is quicker in every single one, but still Pedrosa is in front. Marquez hasn't been able to show him the bike too much yet. Ben Spies has just lost out on 12th to Bradley Smith, so it was actually Spies dropping back rather than Espargaro getting that much quicker.
14.5 laps to go.
So that
I was going to say slightly
both
different
going down.
stuff.
Look at Marquez's elbow. He just leans off the bike even further than Danny Pedrosa. Great shot.
The Honda team look on. There are 2 men at the front. There is Lorenzo in 3rd place.
And of course we had a Yamaha 1-2 in the opening race in Qatar, and here we are with a Honda 1-2 as things stand. And so many people were talking about the demise of Pedrosa after that first race, but it's important to know, or to not write off Honda ever.
Dead right, and certainly not right off Danny Pedrosa. Good race for 6th place between Valentino Rossi, Alvaro Bautista, and Davizio just hanging in there. And there's Aleix Espargaro.
In 11th position.
He was 11th in Qatar, wasn't he, when he was the fastest of the CRT bikes. And just a glimpse there of Bradley Smith behind him. Desperate Bradley Smith to finish this race. See the checkered flag for the first time in MotoGP, and Marquez getting just a little bit closer.
In that fast section, Marquez is good. He's closed up on every single lap. But it seems to me when they get the legs open of these bikes, when they really start to stretch the engine out, that Pedrosa looks strong. Where he drives away from the corners, use that seamless shift gearbox. There's no noise, virtually imperceptible when he's changing up through the gears there. Look at that, both way. It went up to 340 briefly, didn't it?
Down through the gearbox, into turn 12.
Yeah, they were in first. They stayed in first there as well.
Was Lorenzo in second, was it, when we were
was
watching
early
this
on
morning?
today.
Yeah, that
maybe
might
a
have been
changing the gear.
Yeah, that's right. We ride with Danny Pedrosa. We now switch to Marc Marquez. Good job they've both got on board like this, because I'm pretty certain there's going to be a battle to the checkered flag.
Well, we hope so.
And Pedrosa giving the youngster a real stiff examination now. Right.
Reminds us of this battle. Do you remember at Sachsenring last year? Pedrosa leading with Stoner behind, tracking him all the way, and Stoner eventually then having to make a move with 2 corners to go in the race and then crashing out.
Yeah.
So you wonder if it could be something similar. Pedrosa is not easy to pass at all. Just his pace out of the corners. There's something special about Pedrosa, the way he gets the bike picked up quickly and gets that power down to the ground.
You see that, I think, best at turn 11, don't you? Where he always gets into that straight so quick.
Cal Crutchlow was closing a lot on that last lap on Bradle. No way through at turn 1.
Well, he's worked really well here, Crutchlow, because he dropped back after a mistake when he tried to get through on him at turn 12. What able to do so now? He's got to keep patient, but he's got to take the opportunity if it comes, and Bradle's not going to make life easy for him.
Oh, here we go, Crutchlow. That's where he went through on Alvaro Bautista, and now he makes it through on Bradle. Great move from Cal Crutchlow in that fast section. Can he set about Jorge Lorenzo now? The gap 3.3 seconds. Bradle won't be finished, but that's a good move from Crutchlow. The gauntlet has been laid down, and he's done well.
Yeah, excellent stuff from him. Both their left legs go out at turn 11, and then onto this long back straight. That's where the two Hondas are at the moment. It dips down, then comes up, and then, as I say, brake hard. Back wheel will lift off the ground as they tip it into turn 12. Marquez seemingly quite content to wait there at the moment. It's still a long way to go.
Into turn 13, they almost square this one off. Not so much that time for the two Honda bikes. And they've been throwing it through 13 and squaring it off on occasion. And then into 15, tight left hand, all first gear through there. They're about 30 seconds in first gear on this lap. It's incredible. Some circuits, you don't even engage first gear apart from at the start.
And this is where Marquez tumbled, wasn't it, on Friday morning. So he did have a crash Friday morning on cold tyres, so he's still got a little bit to learn, as he admits. It's our first real look at Lorenzo. And there is Cal Crutchlow. He really has pulled away from Stefan Bradl. Lorenzo, I think he knows that it's a podium finish and a third place if it remains the same. Yeah, at the front, and neither of them have any problems. He's going to settle for the points.
I think glum faces in Yamaha, but it's not the end of the world.
Oh, absolutely not. And I think after the test, they realised that they were going to have problems here. Be different at Jerez in 2 weeks' time.
At Jerez, definitely.
It's just that we have this same sunshine at Jerez. Let's have a look at the start.
There it was Lorenzo tried to pull across there, and he just didn't get it hooked up at all. And Crutchlow came past him. Then he managed to get through on the inside, but Crutchlow again was strong.
Yeah, it was a bad start, wasn't it, by Lorenzo?
Oh, it really bogged down there. Really bogged down getting off the line. Have a watch of Crutchlow on his outside. Watch out for the British rider. Bravely hanging the bike in. Lorenzo then just cutting in front of him. See how desperate he was to pull in front and not have to go the inside route into turn 1. And look also at Bradley Smith, how tight he went into that turn 1. That really affected his race. It's getting very tasty now between the two teammates and Spaniards and Repsol Honda riders. Danny Pedrosa, number 26, and Marc Marquez, number 93, the rookie, looking to become the youngest ever rider to win a MotoGP race.
It's the old and the new brigade really, isn't it? And, you know, some people would say that Marquez was always going to come into the team, and when Casey Stoner went, it made life easier for them because they could put them both together. But Danny Pedrosa, many people thought it was him that was going to drop out. Then he hit such amazing form halfway through the season. Well, 6 Grand Prix wins, runner-up in the championship.
It's almost been the spur he needed.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Cal Crutchlow has closed 3/10 on Jorge Lorenzo in front of him, but in fact, again, just a little bit. Crutchlow's just at his best lap of the race. 2.9 seconds down now on Jorge Lorenzo. Good ride this by Crutchlow. Well, here comes Andrea Dovizioso on Alvaro Bautista.
That's the battle for 7th place. Has he made it stick to Dovizioso? He has. I think Bautista's finished 6th, hasn't he? In the last, finished top 6 in the last 9 races. Being pushed back now by the Ducati of Andrea Dovizioso to 7th. So that record in tatters at the moment. That's a great move by Dovizioso.
Bautista's now in 8th.
Yeah.
Dovizioso in
7th.
7th. Yeah.
Great move by Dovizioso to go to Ducati. As we said, I think in Qatar he's got nothing to lose, is he? And I think already he's showing some good signs. There's Bradl. Valentino Rossi, I don't think he's going to make the late charge that he did in Qatar. And Dovizioso in front of Battista. Dovizioso 7, Battista 8. Nicky Hayden 9. It's Andrea Iannone in 10th. Lacia Spargo 11th. Bradley Smith 12th. Ben Spies in 13th. Yoni Hernandez 14th. And Randy Depunier in 15th place. Michael Lafferty now coming up through the field in 17th place. What was he down in 23rd?
Yeah.
He's doing a really good job.
Got a motor on. He's tracking a lot quicker as well than Hector Barbera. He's already taken about a second and a half out of Barbera on that last lap.
Yeah, it's a different race for Valentino Rossi because he did make all the big headlines in Qatar. I don't think that's going to happen this time around. Bradl's desperate to finish the race. He's in 5th place at the end of the world for him. And fabulous stuff from Cal Crutchlow.
Yeah, it's down to 2.7 now, the gap to Jorge Lorenzo.
Now that really would be a feather in his cap if he could beat Lorenzo and get on the podium, Cal Crutchlow. That would be an unbelievable performance by him.
Again, another 10th on that lap. It's a tall order. Lorenzo won't make a mistake. But if he does, Crutchlow's there ready to pounce. Rossi now by himself in 6th place. We thought it might spread out a little bit, but thankfully it hasn't done at the front so far. Dani Pedrosa has a good enough margin there. Marquez can't attack from that distance.
Here is Lorenzo. We said it's going to be a lonely old ride. He's got to keep the pace up as Crutchlow will close the gap. 2.6 at the moment. Lorenzo, you would imagine, can manage that, but you've got to say Crutchlow is upping his pace the whole time, and there's still, what, 9.5 laps to go?
Yeah, he's worked hard this weekend, Lorenzo, tried to improve his rear grip more than anything. And it's ironic, isn't it? That's the problem Dani Pedrosa was having when we were in Qatar. He's leading, and now it's Lorenzo who's struggling. Okay, not struggling as such, that must be in inverted commas more than anything. He pulls out a couple of tenths to Crutchlow on that first sector there. But Lorenzo still felt he was missing something. Crutchlow, his only aim for this race was to be top 6. The top 6 was mission accomplished. He's currently in 4th and chasing down his factory leader.
And they're telling him on the board as well that Crutchlow is coming.
It's in the latter stages of the lap, actually, that Lorenzo is being closed in by the Brit. Colin Edwards looks to have entered the pits. Dylan?
I'm just heading down to investigate now.
Tyre choice for Marc Marquez. Will that make a difference towards the end of the race?
Well, it just depends.
Yeah.
They say they shouldn't have it's not a tyre wear circuit.
No.
It's not somewhere where you've got loads of fast corners wearing out both shoulders of the tyre. It's more actually down the centre where you get any kind of issue. It's still gone asymmetric, harder on the right-hand side of the tyres. However, it's not one of those particularly abrasive, particularly damaging tracks for tyres. So if Pedrosa can keep it going, he may well have the advantage all the way through to the end of the race. We'll never know what it might have been had they both gone the other way round.
Yeah. This is Lorenzo. We just get a glimpse. Comes over the rise. Cal Crutchlow in 4th place. He's certainly got Lorenzo in his sights. I'm not sure what's going to happen at the front of you. I'm pretty certain Marquez will have a go.
He will have
the
a
lead.
go. That would be not very Marc Marquez if he didn't. And just as we say that, here he comes. Marc Marquez feels now is the time. He's been saving himself, has he? Can he get through? Pedrosa will want to make a move quickly.
This is going to tell us so much about this race. It's going to tell us so much about this season, I think, this particular battle. Has Pedrosa got the bottle's not quite the word, but has he got the fight to get right back at him? I'm not sure.
Down the back straight they go, 1.2 kilometres, 3/4 of a mile as they power down there onto the brakes. Is Pedrosa able to close in at all? He has closed right in on the rear of his teammates. Now the question marks are there for Dani Pedrosa. Can you come up with something to show your new teammate the way round?
It's an intriguing situation. Just over 8 laps to go. The old brigade and the new brigade. It's Marc Marquez leading the way from Dani Pedrosa. Marc Marquez rewrote the history books yesterday, the youngest ever pole setter. He would be the youngest ever Premier class winner in the history of Grand Prix racing. But Danny Pedrosa, after finishing 4th in Qatar, is desperate to beat him. A bit tense in there, I think, don't you?
Very tense.
A bit tense in here, actually. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it's just intriguing to know what can Pedrosa do as Marquez now leads across the line and is pulling on the straight a little bit to Pedrosa. Pedrosa closes right up on the brakes, as you would expect. But this is where Marquez has been strong through this first section of track.
In many ways, we know what Marquez can do. We're not 100% certain what Danny Pedrosa can do, are we? It's very intriguing.
Look at Marquez just pulling away from Pedrosa in that first sector.
Well, Valentino Rossi said he's going to win a Grand Prix very soon, Marc Marquez. I think when they've been here, actually, when they tested here. And, well, you could be absolutely right.
This was that move for Marquez. Lots of opportunities to do it here. It's turn 7 that he chooses to go. Had the run. As you say, he's quick in this sector, and he sees how close he's getting. He sits up and thinks, right, I can just use that extra pace.
Fabulous stuff from
Clean.
Marquez. Yeah, very
Perfect
clean.
pass.
Not going to upset anybody, as we saw a few times in Moto 2. Pedrosa's hanging on there, though. Just over 7 laps to go. Don't think he really needs to know that, do you? Hanging out, well, I think he probably hear him as much as anything else. He knows he's right there.
Update on Colin Edwards. Unusual vibration during braking, which meant that he couldn't brake very well. Went on a couple of times, so it was safer to pull in.
It's a great disappointment for the Texan.
In his home race.
Yeah, enormous disappointment for him. But I think, like everybody else, he's going to stand on pit wall and watch this battle, because we could be seeing the new biggest thing to hit Grand Prix motorcycle racing since Valentino Rossi arrived in the Premier class 13 years ago. But Danny Pedrosa wants to delay that introduction, doesn't he?
The gap back to Lorenzo, 3.3. He can almost forget about Crutchlow, who's still 3 seconds behind him. And Crutchlow in turn 3 seconds ahead of Rossi. That's ahead of Bradl, sorry. Oh, that is Lukas Pešek, the Czech rider, who is down, hanging on to his right ankle. Right at the back of the field, Pešek. So they may well have time to get him off the track. Oh, he just clipped the rear of his teammate, Danilo Petrucci. Just had extra pace and clipped that rear wheel. Down he went.
First of all, he showed annoyance, didn't he, at the accident, and then he realised his ankle was hurting him. Horrible to see. I'm really not sure how this one is going to end up. I think everybody hopes it's not going to end in tears. Down towards turn 11 they come. 6.5 laps to go on the brakes. This is where Pedrosa is so good getting out of here on the pace.
Well, he's run it almost.
Bit, yeah.
I think he felt there. That was one of those. He could brake a lot later than Marquez and close up and still get the drive. But he braked so late and so tight that eventually he knew he was going to hit Marquez unless he picked the bike up slightly. Still manages to bring it round for the corner, though. Ooh, they're both pushing hard now. Turn 12 in first gear.
This is super.
Important speeds down the straights, they see. Pedrosa 339 kilometers an hour, 6 more than Marquez. This was down at turn 11. Look, he's going to hit unless he just avoids Marquez there.
He's obviously getting in this touch, just wanted to get the drive out and perhaps fancied his chances, 1 of coming out of the bend, but 2 down at turn 12 to be close. He is really hounding Marc Marquez now.
Well, this was the question mark at the start of the race. Physicality of a MotoGP race. Yes, we know Marquez went to the wire in Qatar, but this is possibly the most physical circuit we come to, with all those changes of direction, first gear corners, and the uphills and down dales that we have here at Circuit of the Americas.
He did say that it physically, what hard work MotoGP was, that was a big surprise. Not a surprise, but that was the big change. Lorenzo just reeling off those immaculate laps. He'll have to settle for the 16 points, but It'll be the end of the world for him. And there is the gap between him and Crutchlow. What a great ride by Cal Crutchlow. Bradle rather lonely at the moment in 5th place, but it's important for him to bring the bike home after crashing out in Qatar.
On board with Cal Crutchlow. Let's ride around with the British rider. Oh, back to the lead, so we won't.
I think they've probably had their air time, the people behind these two, because I think now everything's going to focus on this battle, because this is going to be... There's so much at stake, isn't there? I know it's only the 2nd round of the championship, but for Danny Pedrosa in particular, Marc Marquez, well, he's going to win a Grand Prix sooner or later, but Pedrosa wants to prevent this as much as he can.
Great shot of the 2 bikes. Different angles they've got. Great shots. That's through turn 10. Rhea will step out there and lay down the black mark on the track. It looks like Marquez, to me, is just starting to eke a little gap, enough of a gap.
This is whatever happens. You've got to put it in proportion, really, haven't you? It's an amazing performance by Marc Marquez. Whatever happens, this is only his 2nd MotoGP race. You know, Stefan Bradl's come up as the Moto2 world champion and done well, but not really like this. Okay, not quite on the same machinery, but this is a truly staggering performance by Marc Marquez, even if he does get beaten by Danny Pedrosa. Lorenzo, very capable of riding this sort of race when he's got to. Cal Crutchlow, very, very impressive ride. Stefan Bradl in 5th place, important for him to finish. Rossi will be disappointed in Danny's 6th place as it stands at the moment. This is Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, no heroics this time, unfortunately. No. It will be all changed in Jerez. This is a unique prospect for these riders.
Andrea Iannone made a really good start, didn't he?
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting at the moment is Bautista closing in on Dovizioso. The gap had been over 2 seconds. It's now down to 1.5.
We had a look at Elation Spargo. This is Bradley Smith in 12th place. Important that he finishes the race. Ben Spies.
They're all very spread out, isn't it? We expect... This is what happens when you come to a track that nobody knows. Look at Marquez now, surely.
Is he going to do it? You know, got to start thinking about it. Got to start rustling those old history books. Well, we don't have to rustle them, we know.
Get your quill at the ready.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Pedrosa does close up, but on the braking. But it's going to take a superhuman effort for Pedrosa to beat him.
Psychologically as well. It'll be a big blow.
A massive blow for Danny Pedrosa. Going into a Spanish race at Jerez as well.
Well, he's made up a 10th on that lap, you have to say.
Yeah.
Just gradually, he was 0.5 down through that split last time round. So Pedrosa saving something for a late salvo here.
I think he is. I think you're right. Into the final corner they come. 4 laps to go when they cross the line. Just for a moment, it appeared that Marquez was opening up the advantage. I'm not so sure now. They're only putting how many laps left on the board now. They both know what the situation is, don't they? They don't need to be told anything else.
Yeah, he's been strong in that 2nd half of the lap there. Danny Pedrosa pulled a 10th back throughout the whole lap. And still 4 laps remaining. We're into that now. Lap 17 of 21. Okay, look at the elbow down from Marquez compared to the style of Danny Pedrosa.
Knee down, not the elbow. Marquez is different. I think Marquez is very different to a lot of things we've seen in MotoGP in the last decade. He is the new Rossi. I don't think there's anything doubt about that. He is going to win a Grand Prix, but Danny Pedrosa desperate to delay the celebrations for the 20-year-old Spaniard. Boy, Lorenzo can't quite see what's happening in front of him, but I bet he knows, don't you? I bet he thinks, yeah, they'll be going at it.
Well, the gap is at 2.7 seconds. It was at 3.3 actually across the line. But back out to 3 now. as they go down that back straight. Has Pedrosa had some kind of moment, or has their pace just dropped that much? The fastest rider on the circuit at the moment is actually Cal Crutchlow.
No, he's very close to him, isn't he, still? I just thought for a moment he might have dropped right back, but he hasn't. Certainly looking at the track map, it appeared that, but that's not the case. Now, he's sticking with him, but sticking with him and getting past him is going to be very, very hard, isn't it?
Well, Valentino Rossi found that out last time.
Yeah, he did. If you do go past Marquez, he bites back at you straight away.
This would put Marquez on top of the championship level with Jorge Lorenzo if he were to win. Oh, believe it or not.
We ride with Marc Marquez up into the final corner they come. So 3 laps to go.
Tension is building.
It is. It's building
now.
in here. I don't know how to call it. I really don't.
Marquez is riding defensively there. I wonder if that could help Pedrosa in certain situations. Talked about certain corners at this track. Aoyama on teammates Barbara. Is he going to run it a little bit wide? No, hooks it up very nicely indeed.
This is Rossi. A lonely 6th place now for him. Some welcome World Championship points after his 2nd place, of course, in Qatar.
Well, Pedrosa has suddenly dropped to a 2nd behind Marquez. Has there been a moment there for Danny Pedrosa? That could be the race sentenced there and then. Bautista is now ahead of Dovizioso as well.
This is Rossi, currently running in 6th place, but things are happening at the front. And they certainly have happened.
Looks like it's it. Suddenly Lorenzo is 2.4 seconds behind Danny Pedrosa, and that could well be that.
Onto the long back straight, 2.5 laps to go. This is Alessio Spargaro. Spargaro once again leads the CRT bikes. He's 11th place. Johnny Hernandez having a good ride in 14th, as is his teammate Michael Lafferty in 16th place, sandwiched between them, Randy de Punier.
Yeah, it's a good ride from Lafferty and from Johnny Hernandez as well. There will be 2nd and 4th in the CRT battle. Alessio Spargaro winning that one. He's ahead of Smith and Spees. That's a fantastic ride from Espargaro. Spees is actually 15 seconds behind Smith. I think he maybe has had a couple of moments there. Just done a 2:10.
We ride with Danny Pedrosa. That speck in front of him is his teammate Marc Marquez. Into the start and finish straight, 2 laps to go. Is Freddie Spencer watching this one? The record he has held since 1982, what's that, 31 years ago, could disappear in the next 2 laps.
Alvaro Bautista, as you say, ahead of Dovizioso, but it's going to be a scrap to the line, this one, because Dovi did get him back on that last lap, and then Bautista had to go back in front of him. Here we go once more, up to turn 1, the battle for 7th place between the Italian and the Spaniard, both former 125cc world champions, of course.
Yeah, some good battles in the 250cc class as Bautista retakes this situation down at turn 2.
Pedrosa is 1.5 seconds behind Lorenzo, doesn't want to drop, behind Marquez, doesn't want to drop any further because Lorenzo is now only 1.6 seconds behind him.
Quick update on the Iota team. Lucas Pesce giving me the thumbs up, he's okay. Danilo Petrucci retired with a technical issue.
Thanks, Dylan. I'm glad to hear Lucas Pesce is okay. Seemed like he damaged his ankle. Right. I think we have to focus and talk about a certain 20-year-old Spaniard by the name of Marc Marquez.
As if we weren't talking about him enough anyway, to be honest.
He's arrived big time. Danny Pedrosa has fought tooth and nail to stay with him. They're telling now Danny Pedrosa that is a polite way of saying get your skates on, isn't it?
Yeah, be aware. He's moving around all over the place.
Is.
So every time he grabs a handful of throttle.
Of course, suddenly Lorenzo's race may change, won't it? It could still.
It's at 1.8.
It's a lot to ask, isn't it?
In the 2nd sector, Pedrosa's good, and in that 3rd as well, actually. He's just pulled it out again to 2.1 seconds, so not sure he'll have to worry too much.
Turn 18
any
for Marc Marquez.
mistake, and he's ready to pounce on.
He is. turn 19, turn 20 now into the start and finish straight. 1 lap to go for the 20-year-old Spaniard to rewrite the Grand Prix history books.
Leg comes out from Marc Marquez. He's a keen fan of the sport and has obviously watched the likes of Rossi and co in the past. Through turn 2. 1.2 the gap to Dani Pedrosa.
125cc world champion, the current Moto2 world champion. This is just his second MotoGP race, and he is half a lap or 3/4 a lap away from winning it.
Looks like being an all-Spanish podium as well. With Dani Pedrosa in second place behind him in the championship leader and reigning world champion.
Oh, Dad's looking hard, he can't, oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, Jorge Lorenzo in third. That was Julian Marquez, Marc's father, of course, who probably doesn't have any nails left. He is a very tense watcher.
He's had his younger brother ride, was it, in the Moto3 race. Half a lap to go. Marquez now braking for the last time for turn 12.
No mistakes now. Smooth as you like as he comes out of 12. Into 13. Double apex right-hander.
Surely now we are talking about the new Valentino Rossi. It was
I don't
13
know
years ago.
It's a bit of everything, really.
Well, yeah.
He's special in his own rights, this one.
Dani Pedrosa has fought tooth and nail to stay with him, but he hasn't been able to. He's been eclipsed by his new teammate in just his second MotoGP race.
Here he comes through turn 19, one more corner to go, and the Circuit of the Americas can acclaim Marc Marquez. Through turn 20, he comes.
Marc Marquez, the youngest ever winner of a Premier Class Grand Prix motorcycle race, wins in Texas.
Pedrosa, his teammate, in second place. Lorenzo in third. Cal Crutchlow takes a really good fourth place. Stefan Bradl is now in fifth. Rossi is going to be in sixth. Who will take seventh, though, because they've been scrapping on this last lap, and it looked like it was a big dive into the last corner for Bautista, and he loses out to Andrea Dovizioso.
Well done, Andrea Dovizioso on the Ducati. Right, should be Nicky Hayden across the line next. Fair old gap we hear him across the line now. Nicky Hayden in 9th place. Andrea Iannone picks up some very good points in 10th place as he crosses the line. Alessio Spargaro should lead the CRT bikes. There he is, just coming across the line now. Alessio Spargaro 11th, should be Bradley Smith in 12th place. It is his first ever World Championship points in MotoGP. Ben Spies, we await the arrival of the American in 13th place. But what more can you say? And look, Valentino Rossi shakes hands with Marc Marquez.
And a doff of the cap from the doctor.
Yeah, fabulous. He asked him first if he'd won, and then staggering performance.
He's just a stunning talent.
Yeah.
And we've known it since before he came here. And there was a question mark about the physical attributes required in this race, whether Pedrosa would have that experience to tell. Made the tough choice. Let's have a look at this between Marquez and Pedrosa. Shake of the hand. Thumbs up as well. That's good sportsmanship between the two teammates. Dani Pedrosa knows that on the day, on the weekend, Marquez did the better business.
He did.
It could well be different when we get to Jerez. Could well be different. But
I'm already looking forward to Jerez.
It does. It creates a bit of salivation, doesn't it, before the next round of the championship.
Boy, Lorenzo, okay, isn't in the top 2 as he has been in those last 18 races, apart from ones he hasn't finished, but he's still picked up some mighty important championship points.
Well, we've talked long and hard about him over winter and everything he's capable of. We did it in Qatar. That exceeded our expectations, and now he's gone even better. He is the real deal, Marc Marquez. Jorge Lorenzo knew it was going to be tough to get anywhere near the Honda bikes today, and he settled for third, and that says a lot. That he's had to take that third. First time he's finished a race and not been first or second in well over a year and a half.
Here's the manoeuvre by Marquez. Through on Danny Pedrosa, clean, clinical. Pedrosa tried so hard to stay with him, but when it became towards the end of the race, there was no way through. Again, we ride with Marquez. A tiny little gap, just enough for him to go through. Well, remember this day, I think we all remember the day Valentino Rossi won his first Premier Class race, British Grand Prix 2000 at Donington Park. Well, remember this, the Grand Prix of the Americas in Austin, 2013.
It was this weekend in 2008, Jorge Lorenzo won his first race in just his third ride on board his bike. He's in that mould, the world champion mould.
Relief, I think, for Stefan Bradl. He'll be pleased that he's finished the race. A 5th place for Bradl, started 5th on the grid. Well done, Cal Crutchlow, great ride by him. A little bit of a mistake in about quarter distance. He had to fight his way back through, and he did exactly that.
Yeah, it's a very good ride from Crutchlow. He said top 6 was the mission. Well, that's accomplished, and beyond that, he's got 4th place. His best result so far of the season, of course.
Danny Pedrosa's back. Jorge Lorenzo is back. Aleix Espargaro is back, but now the crowd rise to the new boy. Well done, Danny Pedrosa, as well, because he must be feeling pretty sick inside, mustn't he?
Delight for that side of the garage. Many of Casey Stoner's crew in there, of course, as well. And Santi Hernandez, though, the crew chief he brought up with him in Moto2. A huge embrace between the pair of them.
What a replacement for many thought was the irreplaceable Casey Stoner. Wow.
Just chuck him in the mix, though. Imagine if he was in this mix.
Oh, please come back. Yeah. Yeah, no great celebrations at Yamaha. I think they knew before the race, and Lorenzo, as always, has come up with the goods, hasn't he? He's come up with what they knew they could do.
Congratulations from the reigning world champion to a future world champion, surely. There's his brother Alex. Didn't have the greatest day in Moto3 earlier on. Now there's Emilio Altamora, who's mentored him from a very young age, brought him all the way through to the top class. He can be proud that he's won the very first. Now, Valentino Rossi, a close look at the front end of his bike. Thought it was closing on him. It's in the end, 6th place, not ideal. But he'll be back at Jerez, a place that he has won at in the past, of course.
I'm just down here with Cal Crutchlow. Cal, you wanted best of the rest, but you went even better than that. Are you happy with the result today?
Yeah, really happy. I think that's all we can ask for. So yeah, really pleased. We did a good job, and we never tested here, and we beat a lot of guys that did. So I'm very happy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, he did do a good job.
Can be proud of that, definitely.
I absolutely agree. Danny Pedrosa, he looks shattered after that supreme effort to stay with the young pretender. Let's have a look at these tyres.
Well, there you can see the softer tyre from Lorenzo and Pedrosa. Harder tyre from Marquez. You see the wear on the left-hand shoulder there for Marquez. Just wonder if that was some of the graining issues, but it didn't affect him at all, did it? It's the Spanish 1-2-3 in the first ever Red Bull Grand Prix of the Americas, and it's Marc Marquez, the top of that Spanish trio, with Danny Pedrosa 2nd, Jorge Lorenzo in 3rd position. Stefan Bradl was in 5th, and as we saw coming across the line, Andrea Dovizioso did pip Alvaro Bautista, with Nicky Hayden taking 9th and Andrea Iannone in 10th place.
Yeah, Aleix Espargaro once again, top of the CRT bikes, 11th in Qatar, 11th here. It's first points for Bradley Smith in the MotoGP class. Further down, Lucas Pechek, nasty crash for him. We're told he is okay, and Colin Edwards retiring with some vibration problems. disappointing for him. Let's have a look at that World Championship. 2 rounds gone. Marc Marquez and Lorenzo share the lead. They have an 8-point advantage over Danny Pedrosa and Valentino Rossi in 4th place. Cal Crutchlow 5, Bautista Dovizioso, Nicky Hayden and Andrea Iannone. Stage is well set for Jerez, isn't it, in 2 weeks' time? 2 Spanish riders, one the world champion, one the youngest ever MotoGP winner, clash once again on home soil. Aleix Espargaro, 2 11th places and 11th in the World Championship. Well, we've thoroughly enjoyed the very first Grand Prix here at Austin in Texas. Seen some great racing. We've seen a day that we probably won't forget when Marc Marquez won his very first MotoGP race. Here's Stefan Bradl, yeah, got some points. And I get into Europe and start pushing towards those boys at the front.
I think it was quite acceptable at this stage. It was not so bad. From the beginning stay until at the end, I would say. No drop.
A busy Parc Ferme, as one would imagine. So Aleix Espargaro talking to Jorge Lorenzo. Another great ride by Aleix Espargaro, he really is. Wonder where he's going to end up next year with this new Yamaha package of engines available, and of course the the Honda's also coming into the fray with the well, they're not really production bikes, are they? They're a little bit more than that. And his Aspar team, one would imagine. He even talks about Suzuki going with them. I'm sure Aleix Espargaro, whatever they choose to do, will be with them because he has ridden quite brilliantly. Well, I had a quick word with Cal Crutchlow. He was delighted with his 4th place. No wonder why. This is the battle he had with Stefan Bradl. And he passes him. He'd already had a big battle with him and made a mistake and dropped back and had to fight his way back through with through Valentino Rossi and Alvaro Bautista, but he did that and did a top-class job. Helicopters hovering overhead. Crowd of well over 60,000, really decent crowd for the very first motorcycle race at this new venue. It doesn't take a lot of working out, I suppose. Honda and Yamaha, top of the Constructors' Championship, joint top. So it was a Honda 1-2 here, and it was a Yamaha 1-2 in Qatar. Then Ducati, and then of course down to the CRT bikes with ART and FTR. Teams. Repsol Honda team lead the way from the Yamaha factory racing team. Ducati 3rd, Monster Tech 3, 4. They've gone up a place. Pramac have dropped down a place. 5th. Going Fun, Honda Gresini. Power Electronics, Aspar, because that's Aleix Espargaro. LCR Honda, Stefan Bradl, but just one rider. Avintia Bluesons. Decent ride today by Hiroshi Oyama. And Paul Bird Motorsport, Yoni Hernandez and Michael Lafferty going well today. Hernandez picking up a single point in 15th place, and just behind him in 16th place, Michael Lafferty. And points surely going to come his way. This was just his 2nd Grand Prix ride for the 31-year-old Ulsterman. Catch our breath a little bit, I think. Spanish winners in all 3 classes. 3 Spaniards on the front row of the grid in MotoGP. And where do we go next? Spain and Jerez. Should be some weekend. These magnificent slow motion oil painting type pictures. This is Danny Pedrosa and Stefan Bradl. Jorge Lorenzo. Marc Marquez around the outside. I would imagine this is on the first lap. It's Marquez had run it just a little bit wide, hadn't he? Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's the first lap. Bradl and Pedrosa took full advantage up at turn 1. Lorenzo tried to make a good start, but really bogged on the line. I think he knew he had to get in front of the Hondas and try and make life as difficult as he could for them. Well, they're trying to hurry people along to get to the podium, but there's still a lot of talking to be done. It's Danny Pedrosa, the last one to leave Parc Ferme. Taking a long, hard drink. That was a long, hard race, 21 laps. He fought tooth and nail. Stopped Marc Marquez winning. He couldn't do it. So, a historic podium this will be. 1982, Spa-Francorchamps. Freddie Spencer, the American, became the youngest ever rider to win a Premier Class Grand Prix. 31 years later, in Texas, in Austin, at the Circuit of the Americas, 20-year-old Marc Marquez eclipses Spencer's record. I think they want to try and send Marc Marquez's father up to... no, he won't go. What a proud, proud day that must be for him. Okay, podium is now ready. Remember this day. It is a special day. It will be written down in the history books of Grand Prix motorcycle racing. Boy, Lorenzo, Danny Pedrosa, they've been there before. But here he is. First time winner in the MotoGP class for Marc Marquez.
The Constructors Award to Honda. Receiving the award, Santiago Hernandez. Making the presentation, Red Bull athlete, golf professional Ricky Fowler.
Ricky Fowler, famous golfer, making the presentation. And Gavin's trying to get a game with him tomorrow.
Our third place finisher, factory Yamaha, Jorge Lorenzo. Once again, the presentation, Red Bull athlete Ricky Fowler.
Yeah, all Jorge Lorenzo could do was really finish in third place. He shares the lead in the World Championship with Marc Marquez. I think he knew it was going to be that type of weekend.
For the Repsol Honda team and Spain, Danny Pedrosa. Making the presentation, FIM President Vito Ippolito. And ladies and gentlemen, the youngest ever winner of a MotoGP race, Marc Marquez. Making the presentation, Circuit of America's guest owner, Yoshihiro Okanaga.
So history has been made here in Texas. Marc Marquez, 20 years old, the youngest ever winner in the Premier Class of Grand Prix motorcycle racing.
Of Spain.
Congratulations, Marc
Enjoy the
Marquez.
celebration. Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup is next.
What a day for Marc Marquez. What a day for MotoGP. A new Grand Prix winner, but not only a Grand Prix winner. Surely at some stage, he is going to be a MotoGP World Champion to go along with his Moto2 and 125cc world titles. Thank you, Texas, for an absolutely fabulous circuit, a great time and some decent weather. You've witnessed, well, the birth of perhaps a MotoGP legend in Marc Marquez. Clink of the champagne for those three riders on the podium. I'll be talking to Gavin pretty soon. I think we probably know what they're going to say. Yeah, Jorge Lorenzo picked up some vital points. Third place. And full marks to Danny Pedrosa. Very, very sporting with his team.